Learning Objective 1 from Section 1.4 is to differentiate between an observational study and an experiment and determine if it is appropriate to conclude causation. Cut Bop is considering opening up a new restaurant in Taylorsville. Before opening the restaurant, the company would like to know how often households in the area regularly go out to eat Korean noodles. A market researcher obtains a list of households in the area and selects every 100th family on the list. He mails each of them a questionnaire along with a voucher for a free dinner if they submit the questionnaire to one of the current Cut Bop locations. 86% of the questionnaires are returned, and the number of times a household regularly goes out to eat Korean noodles is recorded. Would you consider this to be an observational study or an experiment, and why? Now, there's a lot of information that was given in that scenario, but the only thing we need to know in order to determine if this is an observational study or an experiment is whether any treatments were assigned to the observational units. If we imposed any sort of behavior or action on them before we observed and measured them. In this case, the households were just told to report how often they eat Korean noodles. So therefore, this is an observational study because treatments were not assigned to the households. Let's add in those definitions so that you can see them. An observational study is where we observe and measure the observational units without imposing treatments on them. If we compare groups, any groups that we would compare are chosen by the observational units. And because of that, whatever leads them to make the choice of group can be considered a lurking variable, and that could affect how they would respond to the question that we are asking them. So in an observational study, you cannot conclude causation. An experiment is one where we observe and measure the observational units after first imposing some sort of treatment on them, asking them to exercise or limiting the number of calories they partake of, or giving them a drug versus a placebo. Because we are assigning them to groups, then those lurking variables are no longer causing differences between the groups, and so therefore causation can be concluded. All right, let's look at another example. A study of the relationship between physical fitness and leadership uses as subjects middle-aged executives who have volunteered for an exercise program. The executives are divided into a low fitness group and a high fitness group on the basis of a physical examination. All subjects then take a psychological test designed to measure leadership, and the results for the two groups are compared. So I do have two groups here, but the groups are based on their fitness level at the beginning of the exam. We did not assign them to a fitness level. That was chosen by them based on their lifestyle leading up to this study, whether they led a lifestyle that made them have low fitness or a lifestyle that made them have high fitness. So if we look at these answers here, we can eliminate a couple right away, even without reading the scenario. A says this is an observational study since executives were assigned. So as we just talked about, assigning happens in an experiment. So it can't be A, even without finishing the question. Let's look at D. This is an experiment since fitness level of the executives was not assigned. Not assigning happens in observational studies, so it can't be D either. Let's look at B or C. It's one of those. B says this is an observational study since fitness level of executives was not assigned. And as we already discussed, fitness level is based on lifestyle choices they made themselves, not on any imposition that we put on them. C says this is an experiment since executives were assigned to either have low fitness or high fitness at the beginning of the study. If assigning is done, it would be an experiment, but in this case, the fitness level was not assigned. All right, let's look at the last question. A quality control analyst at a manufacturing plant randomly assigns whether machines will be applied with a new lubricant or standard lubricant, and then measures the output over a 3-hour time period. The machines with the new lubricant had higher outputs than the machines with the standard lubricant. Which of these is true? Here's the key word to recognize: randomly assigns. Because they were assigned to either the new lubricant group or the standard lubricant group, that makes this an experiment, which means we can eliminate A and B, which say an observational study. Observational studies happen when groups are not assigned. And because it's an experiment where we assigned, we can conclude causation. Remember that you can conclude causation in an experiment, but you cannot conclude it in an observational study.